In this video, we're going to take a look at a green ink by Diamine, a part of their 150th anniversary series, Tropical Green. Now, as always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to the green ink playlist, so if you want to see more greens, you can find that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, some very nice shading. Look at Lazy going darker to lighter, Dog going darker to lighter to darker, Fox going lighter to darker. So nice, brown, dark to light, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is just a tad lighter than the extra fine. With no feather spread, halo sheen, the shading comes across a little bit nicer, like brown goes darker to lighter to darker, Fox goes lighter to darker, Jumps goes lighter to darker, 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows some color variation. It shows more in the medium than the extra fine. You have to look far left to far right. And it looks better in the medium writing. And the smear test you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Lamy Safari with a 1.5 stub was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, but it does give shading. Quick goes dark to light to dark. Brown goes dark to light. Jumps goes light to dark, 11 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, but it does give some shading as brown goes darker to lighter and gets very dark on the end. Fox goes lighter to darker, 16 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both showed some color variation, and we are getting it here on the Tomoe River, which I don't frequently get. The smear test says you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And it's got this kind of different greenish tone at the bottom pushing its way up. Then we get a very bright green and a very, very dark blue at the top. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes and that different green that's at the bottom is a little bit more there. It's moving up really stubborn. We get this very nice green and that very, very dark blue again at the top, which I would expect a lot more shading than I'm getting. It's really spotty all over right now, which is nice, but I expected more. I don't know that I'm expecting this to be resistant though. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, some shading like the K in quick is dark, the word the is dark, the PS of jumps, and the X in Fox. So we do get it in 5 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, some spots shading again like the K in quick is dark, the word the is dark, Lazy goes dark to light, 8 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both shows some color variation and it is in the writing. In the smear test, you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, despite the fact that it spreads and it does get a bit woolly, all of the information is absolutely intact, which could make me feel safe using it in a note-taking situation. Now, water is reactivating and starting to lift a great deal of this ink. Pen flush is doing a little bit more with the same 30 seconds, and the 1/3 bleach solution is completely removing it. As we expect, water is all that it took to get this out of my pen. The next writing sample is done on a memoranda pad like I would have used in the Marines. No bleeding, no ghosting. The medium has no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is just a tad lighter than the medium with no feather, spread, halo sheen, little bits. The is much darker than the stuff around it. The K in quick is darker. 2 seconds to dry. Awesome on this paper. The scrubby shows a tiny bit of color variation left to right, and there is little spotting of it. And the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's 150th anniversary Tropical Green has a viscosity of 1.77, making this a wet ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity stuff is all done, there's a link to that video down in the description. But now let's take a look at a composition lab notebook like you would have used in science class. The only bleeding that occurs is at the scrubby, and that's not such a big deal. There is quite a bit of ghosting here with the extra fine and with the medium, but it's not too bad. Really, I use the back of the page on this stuff. The medium has tiny feathering in it. You look in Diamine, you see it at the IA, but it's not bad. I don't see people not using it because of it. No spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine, little bit lighter than the medium. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. Couple spots. The is much darker than everything around it, same with the letter K in quick, so there is a little bit of ability for it. 1 second to dry. Scrubby shows some color variation, and the writing showed that it is possible. Smear test, you can definitely recover it if you smear while you're writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Tropical Green has an average dry time of 15 seconds, making it normal. The last writing sample is done on 20-pound copy paper. Now there's no need to outline all of the spots where we see some heavy bleed going on, and obviously that leads to a ton of ghosting. You could not use the back of the paper because you wouldn't be able to read anything on either side. However, it does not corrupt the page underneath. So, for that, it's doing pretty good. It's not bleeding onto that next page. The medium has feathering, big, god-awful feathering. Look at the left side of the D in Diamine. Oh my God. It's sprouting whole new letters. It spreads. That was a medium, it's now a broad. It has no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the medium. It has very minor feathering, especially considering the medium. This is not horrible. You look at the K, you see it a little bit more. You look in the hoop, inside the hoop of the Q, but it's not bad. I don't see this stopping you from using it. It spreads. That's a little bit more than a fine, so that's like a fine medium. No halo, no sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation. We didn't get it. And the smear test, hey, you can't smear it, so you don't have to worry about it. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Tropical Green, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I decided to go with a nice pink ink, also by Diamine, their Cerise. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to different color playlists. But what do I think of Diamine's 150th anniversary Tropical Green? A lot of tone variation by pen. It does shade some, but nothing really stand out. It's a perfectly good green that is the lighter tone. Start over. You were rushing anyway. A lot of tone variation by pen. It does shade some, but nothing particularly stand out. It's a perfectly good green that, in the lighter tone, looks like a flat, ordinary green. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? I actually prefer its flat, ordinary green look. And I get that from a medium flow fine. I think this puts down a very nice tone in that way. There's maybe some spots of some shading, but its flattest tone in this case to me is its nicest. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Iroshizuku's Kirisami, or Scotch Mist.